You are now watching the whimsically works of Arc Wizard CJ. If you enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe.
What's going on, everybody? Archwizard CJ here, back with another daily video. And today, I wanted to discuss the state of decay For Honor is inevitably in for like the 4th time now. The reason that For Honor has not bounced back yet despite Season 5's launch, well, you know, to be blunt with it, I'm gonna just tell you guys how it is. For Honor is, wait for it, not a good game. See, conceptually on paper, For Honor is a phenomenal concept, you know? For Honor has a lot of potential in terms of what it could be, but in terms of what it actually is, I personally feel like the game's execution is incredibly lousy in comparison to the potential that it had or maybe has as a concept. See, I remember the E3 showing up For Honor, and it was an entirely different experience from what was visually viewed in comparison to what we have now. And the problem with For Honor is that it is inflexible, limited in scope, and I think its biggest issue is that it is structurally flawed. Like, its very basis and foundation, when you think about it, is an incredibly flawed system. The way I see it is that it's a fun game to play casually. The problem is that the developers and the players treat it competitively. And I feel the biggest issue with that is that Kenzo brought up in his live stream, and he said something that I think is really prophetic, as casually as he said it. And we've been having this discussion. I think a lot of people have had this discussion, but I know I talked to him about it before with other people. And For Honor doesn't warrant the respect of being a pro at it, you know? Like, I see somebody like Noah C, and how much emphasis he puts on being a pro at For Honor. And to be blunt, I think it's fucking stupid. And the way he goes about it, that's his channel. I respect that it's his channel. And the way that he, you know, initiates conflict with other YouTubers and other content creators, that's his decision to make. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about is that I did have a conversation with Noah C, and he was relaying to the idea that I should become like the spokesperson for the PS4 community, get good at the game because I barely play it. And by doing that, you know, the developers will listen to me, and I'll have a competent say-so in what should be done here, here, and here. This isn't the kind of game that I feel warrants that level of respect. I feel like this game is like tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors. I said in my previous video that this game has evolved from rock, paper, scissors to tic-tac-toe. But what I mean by it being rock, paper, scissors or tic-tac-toe is that For Honor is a scripted fighter with very few game modes. And besides the different kits that characters have, A plus B equals C, or A equals B and B equals C, so therefore A equals C. No matter what you do, you will always come to the same conclusion in this game. You understand me? No matter how many different ways you try to go about it, the conclusion is still the same. When you compare a game like For Honor to a shooter, shooters are variables, and they're entirely free-flowing. That's why a shooter can survive with limited game modes. That's why a game like Last of Us still has a more bustling community than For Honor. Because even though it has only 3 game modes in its multiplayer, number one, it's already a good game. It has a captivating and critically acclaimed story mode. For Honor, you can't even give me a line that isn't a meme from the story mode of For Honor. You feel me? So we're not even gonna talk about that. Number 2 is that shooters are free flowing. Every single engagement is completely unique from the last engagement. There is nothing consistent from each individual player other than the fact that one lives and one dies. That is the only consistent thing in a shooter. Every single engagement, interaction, and every single outcome is unique. And every single match is unique. When I play For Honor, I know going in a match that there is only one of 3 things that will happen. And those 3 things will happen in abundance. And while each individual player will try to individualize how these 3 things come about, inevitably these 3 things will happen. And the 3 things I'm talking about is A, the defensive meta, B, I want to say parry baiting and passive gameplay, and C, I want to say is securing the kill with minimal effort on your part. No matter who you play against, no matter how good they are, and no matter how complex the fight is, every single fight in For Honor, for the most part, feels the same. Every level of player is different, right? But when you look at these clips and you look at these gameplays and you look at how each individual YouTuber, player, whoever plays the game, if you honestly pay attention to how we play, there is no real individualism in terms of how every fight ends. You understand me? When I look at a shooter, when I look at a game like Fortnite, the reason why someone like Ninja can get so popular so fast, besides the fact that he's playing a very popular game, is the fact that shooters are infinitely more replayable than a lot of fighters. And in especially this sense, when I play a game like For Honor, which is not a traditional fighter, so it doesn't even have the flexibility of that. It is its own niche type of game. And because of that, the formula is going to be flawed because there's nothing that has been done like it. And so it's a bit of a quarrel, right? It's an impressive game, but at the same time, the game is flawed because it's a concept that has never really been done before, but at the same time, it's a prototype. So there's gonna be a lot of issues, you know? What I'm trying to get at is that the reason why For Honor is not doing well is because it is not a game that can reach mainstream success because it's not a mainstream genre. You know, it's its own thing. And while it had the potential to be a big thing, the reason why it didn't become that thing is because consumer expectation hasn't even been met yet. You understand me? We still have, like, we just got dedicated servers and we just got updates for certain characters, but what people don't realize is that despite that, there's still out of the 3 people that's been updated, the rest of the roster has not. So on top of the fact that yes, we have moved forward, we're still not at the place that people expected to be at from launch. From the jump, we expected dedicated servers. From the jump, we expected competent kits in each character. From the jump, what they're trying to reach in over a year's time of this game's development process is things that we should have had from the gate. The reason why nobody is impressed or there isn't any resurgence of players is because the game is still incomplete. The reason why a game like Rainbow Six Siege can do so well as well is because it's a more saturated market. When you look at a game like Rainbow Six Siege, it's a shooter, and like I just said, a shooter is completely free flowing. So each individual engagement is going to be unique from the last. There is no consistency in how a fight starts or ends. If you're a better player, then there's consistency in how well you do. But in terms of how you approach each engagement, it's completely unique in terms of a shooter. It's free flowing. You understand me? So the biggest issue with For Honor is that it's very stagnant with its gameplay. It doesn't have a lot of variety, and it can't get away with not having a lot of variety because it's a scripted fighter. Paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper. Or the tic-tac-toe analogy, if you take the center of the board and you approach each corner, no matter what the other player will do, unless you make a mistake, it will always end in the cat's game. That's how I feel about For Honor. For Honor is, as a concept, is fun. Tic-tac-toe and rock, paper, scissors. When you was a kid, you played the shit out of both of those. But once you honestly understand fundamentally what it is, it's a very flawed system. You understand me? And it's unfortunate, you know, because I honestly see a lot of potential still. You know, I feel like there can be updates. I feel like there can be improvements. I feel like there can be things that can be done to improve the game. You feel me? But I don't think it's going to happen in a fashion or in a manner quick enough to where the game can have any kind of resurgence or relevancy at this point. And on top of that, I'm going to be real with you. I've been saying this forever, and people still don't want to listen to me, and they never are going to, but the community is a huge factor in why this game isn't coming back. Because it's a very toxic, shitty community, you know? I was in my comments the other day just reading comments going through, and I saw one dude fucking get ultra triggered over me not saying good fight back after every match I was playing against these people in this real chill and casual commentary. And I was looking at that going, this is so fucking pathetic, because if you look at the commentary, it's a very chill, relaxed session. And if you look at the comments, the people I fought against in the video were leaving support comments. So it's like there was no tension in the video, there was no tension in the comments, there was no tension in the fights. Yet I have people berating me for my decisions in the fights. And so it's like it's a bit of a build-up at this point, because I've been berated and belittled from this game since day one. You understand me? Like week one, I was being berated. You can look at my first video on this game. I was being berated. Like it's been like that from the jump. You understand me? And I want you to imagine being an individual who's trying to ease his way into this game. You have an ultra competitive, toxic community that are making they're putting way too much emphasis on a game that otherwise isn't competitive. And on top of that, me being a new player, I'm already overwhelmed by my options. You know, it is a bit of an illusion, because it's like half the roster you won't even touch, and then the other half is only a select few moves that honestly work. And then at the end of the day, that pinnacle of gameplay in For Honor is just turtles. So the point is that, you know, as a new player, there's so many different things that I have to get adjusted to. And on top of all that, I have to get adjusted to the shitty community. And on top of that, I'm playing a game that structurally is designed around basically a freemium system of buying steel to get packs. And then it's like, because if you want to get everything that you need to be a competent player, or if you want to get everything you need for aesthetic pleasing, then you're gonna have to spend money. It's inevitable. It's inevitable to get it in a timely fashion. It's inevitable. They've already done the statistics and the math and the calculations, and it would take literally years to get everything you wanted in that game naturally. So it's inevitable that with the steel progression system, you're going to have to pay. So I want you to imagine you're a new player who's already behind in the curve with no encouragement, no incentive to get better at the game, and the people who he wants to meet and interact with in the community are a bunch of toxic fuck shits who get mad because you don't say good fight after every match. I want to, you gotta understand, from an outside perspective, all we promote is the toxicity in this community. All I see is salt montages. All I see is individuals talking about how shitty the community is, including me. And it's like, me, I'm a byproduct of how shitty this community is. So when I talk about how shitty the community is, it's not because I'm butthurt and that's just how I feel. It's because I've dealt with really atrocious behaviors exclusively to this game. Any other game, I'm fine. You know, I'd like a second shittiest community I've been in would probably have to be Last of Us, but even then, Last of Us is a superior game, so I could deal with the shitty players because the game is better. When I get on this game that is flawed fundamentally, and on top of that, it's a bunch of toxic dickheads who take it way too serious, there's no incentive to play. To keep it 100 with you, the reason why I still play this game as much as I do is for my channel. If I knew that if I started uploading another game, I would get the same consistent growth in view count as I would playing For Honor, I would not touch this game again. And so I'm just doing what I need to before I can do what I want to. I don't have a problem reaching out to the few people who genuinely support me. You feel me? So it's easy to play this game, keeping in mind that I'm doing this for you. But when it comes to me, if it was up to me, I wouldn't be fucking with this. I wouldn't even touch it, you know? That's just honest, you know? But I was gonna make a separate video going in depth the things wrong with For Honor. I might write a script. This is unscripted, but just to give a general sense as to what's wrong with the game, it's just plain and simple, man. It's a formula. In terms of a formula, the game is flawed, incredibly flawed. It's a toxic community. On top of that, the reworks have only been 3 characters. The rest of the roster is still linear and flawed. On top of that, there's no real incentive to get into the game because there's no real audience around it, and the audience that is there is a bunch of toxic dickheads. And the game itself is very limited in terms of scope and variety. You feel me? So the reason why I feel like For Honor will never make a comeback is because it's pigeonholed itself. It's cannibalized its own opportunities to become anything mainstream or worthy of a large audience. And at the end of the day, the way that it feels to me, being an individual who's been in it for over a year now, I feel like the most that you can get out of For Honor is maybe a couple thousand subs if you're new. If you're at a level like me, Kenzo, Spliced, or somebody like that, we might be able to reach, like, with a lot of determination, you might be able to reach like 60,000-70,000 subscribers. And from there, it's like you don't even know if it'll translate well. You understand me? I'm not trying to sound like a doom bringer, but when people ask me why I don't play this game, or when people ask me why I don't interact a lot with the community, it's because, plain and simple, the game isn't good, the community is toxic, and there's nothing really to benefit from investing a lot of time into this game. So that's all I have to say for today. I will definitely make a more detailed dialogue in my next video, but that's just my opinions on the situation, how I feel about the dichotomy of this game and the entirety of the situation. I personally feel like For Honor at best is a novelty at this point. I don't feel like it's anything that could, like, you know, have a AAA status. I feel like if they were to discard the game and make something entirely different while keeping the same general premise, it might work. But For Honor as a game, as a intellectual property, is dead on arrival. I say that Ubisoft learns from its mistakes. If they do, I don't know if they will, and they take what they can get out of the situation and they get out of here. But that's just my personal opinion on it. You know, an unscripted, raw review on why I feel For Honor is it's not detailed at all, but, you know, a very generalistic, casual expression of opinion as to why I feel For Honor it's not really, it doesn't really have much of a chance of coming back. Video dropping tomorrow. I think I'm gonna take the time to really go into detail my opinion on the situation so people can understand where I'm coming from. For now, I just wanted to express that, you know, with some gameplay in the background. Just trying to get better. This has been AminOnPC. I wish you all a good morrow, and I'm off for the time being.
This has been an AminOnPC special. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.